to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The prayer this morning will be offered by the good delegate representing Anne Arundel County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Since today is Valentine's Day, our prayer today will be a contemplation on love. The ancient Greeks had 4 words for love: eros, passionate love; philia, the love experienced in friendship; storge, the love of parents for their children; and agape, the love of mankind, the most benevolent and selfless. It is a love which is foundational to understanding and forgiveness. Today we ask our Creator to show us love, to help us discover love. Love in the simple, love in the complex, love in the mystery, love in the divine. Let us discover a deeper love for one another, for our shared humanity, a love of science and art in service to our constituents and to our Maker. Let us find love in the discovery of new things, in the healing of wounds from the past, the solving of problems from the present, the innovation for the future. Let our love unite us in the work before us, and let our collective love shine out, bringing light to darkness, warmth to cold, and hope where it is waning. May we all experience love in all its forms, so we may fill our wells to do the people's work. We thank you for this day, this opportunity to experience the immense power of agape, of philia, of storge, of eros. Thank you for this chance to infuse love into every aspect of our work, so we may be worthy of the people's trust and your divine, benevolent love. Together we say, Amen.
Amen. Quorum call.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their presence?
Madam Speaker? I'm sorry, but my button is not working. Or at least it's not lighting up green on here, but it's lighting up green on there. Okay, thank you.
You're quite welcome. We take care of things fast. Clerk will take the call. There being 130 members present, the House is now in session. The clerk to read the journal from the previous day.
Annapolis, Maryland, February the 13th, 2023.
Recognizing the Deputy Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Move so much be considered the reading of the journal.
So ordered. Petitions, memorials, and other papers. The clerk will read the bond initiatives and the committee assignment.
Introductory House Bond Initiatives number 33, February 14th, 2023. Referred to appropriations.
Our first committee reports. Report of the Committee on Health and Government Operations, report number 1. Recognizing the floor leader.
House Bill 214, Commission on Public Health, Establishment. Favorable amendments. Amendment number 1.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Move so much be considered the reading of the amendments.
So ordered.
Amendment number 1 adds sponsors and makes technical changes. Amendment number 2 alters the composition of the commission to include 3 health officers, adds 3 to 5 members of the public, moves the HSCRC and the MHCC to a consultative role, and adds other state agencies on consult, requires the commission to establish certain work groups, and adds a diversity clause for commission and work group members. Amendment number 3 requires the commission to assess the public health capabilities of the Maryland Department of Health and local health departments, and requires the commission, in conducting the assessment, to explain the impact of the foundational public health capabilities on the state's ability to address public health areas, including as those relate to behavioral health, and on the state's ability to respond to COVID-19, overdose, maternal and infant mortality. The commission is required to hold at least 3 public meetings. The recommendations for reform made by the commission are clarified to include recommendations on the use of information exchange and data analytics, the use of medical reserve corps for public health, and the oversight of procurement contractors, and recommendations on communications and public engagement. Amendment number 4 adds an interim report and moves the final report date from October 1st, 2025 to December 1st, 2024. Move the amendments.
Question for the House is the adoption of the amendment. All in favor signify by saying aye. Oppose? The ayes have it. The amendment has been adopted. Question now, the adoption of the favorable report as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Favorable report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or to its title? Recognizing the majority leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Will the floor leader rise for a few questions?
Absolutely.
Great. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Happy Valentine's Day. And happy big day for you as well back in our county. I know on the floor system I can now look at the bill. I can see all the committee amendments. I can click and see all the committee testimony. But just for my benefit, would you just briefly tell me what this bill does?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Majority Leader. This bill is just a commission on public health. What we're going to do is we're going to put together a group of 13 individuals who are going to do an assessment on our public health capabilities, and then they're going to make recommendations to us for the legislature to consider. And it was supported unanimously by the committee.
You just beat my next question. I know I can look up the vote for the committee on the floor system, but it was...
It was unanimous in the HGO committee, yes.
Great. This seems like a nice idea. Are any other states doing this?
Yes, there are a number of other states doing this. Indiana is doing this, Oklahoma is doing this, Ohio, Michigan, Kentucky, and Massachusetts.
Great. Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Certainly. Are there any additional amendments to the bill or to its title? Hearing none, the bill is ordered, printed for third reading. Clerk, read next bill.
House Bill 611, State Board of Nursing, Sunset Extension, Licensure Exceptions, and Board Operations and Membership. Favorable amendments. Amendment number 1.
Recognizing Vice Chair of the Committee.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Move so much be considered the reading of the amendments.
So ordered.
Amendment number 1 is technical and adds co-sponsors. Amendment number 2 makes a technical change to a provision regarding licensure exemption and specifies the infrastructure operations controlled by the Secretary of Health does not include policy or regulatory decisions. Amendment number 3 removes from the bill language that would have repealed the requirement that the executive director of the board be a registered nurse after authority over board staffing is returned to the board from the Secretary of Health, and instead requires the independent evaluation of the board to include an evaluation of the executive director qualifications, also requires the external consultant be hired by the board to be approved by the Secretary of Health, and alters the timing for the terminating the terms of the existing board members. Move the amendments.
The question before the House is the adoption of the amendment. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment has been adopted. The question now is the adoption of the favorable report as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The favorable report is adopted. Are there any additional amendments to the bill or to its title? Hearing none, the bill is ordered printed for third reader. Report of the Committee on Health and Government Operation, report number 2. The question before the House is the adoption of the favorable, excuse me, sorry about that. I'm trying to rush things.
House Bill 279, Prescription Drug Affordability Board, Upper Payment Limits. Favorable.
Question for the House is the adoption of the favorable report. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The favorable report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or to its title? Hearing none, the bill is ordered, printed for third reading. Report of the Committee on Ways and Means, report number 1. Clerk will read the first bill.
House Bill 16, Primary and Secondary Education, Title IX Notice. Here Are Voices Act. Favorable.
Question for the House is the adoption of the favorable report. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The favorable report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or to its title? Hearing none, the bill is ordered printed for third reading. Clerk will read next bill.
House Bill 21, property tax, tax sales, notices, and payoff amount for redemption. Favor of the amendments. Amendment number 1.
Madam Speaker.
Recognizing the floor leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So much be considered the reading of the amendments.
So ordered.
Thank you. The amendments allow a mortgagee of the property to request the payoff amount and require that only expenses incurred before the certificate holder received the request may be included in the payoff amount. Move the committee amendments.
Question for the House is the adoption of the amendment. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment has been adopted. The question now is the adoption of the favorable report as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Favorable report is adopted. Are there any additional amendments to the bill or to its title? Hearing none, the bill is ordered printed for third reading. Clerk, read next bill.
House Bill 43, property tax, tax sales, payment of balance after foreclosure. Favorable.
Question for the House is the adoption of the favorable report. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Favorable report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or to its title? Hearing none, the bill is ordered printed for third reading. Clerk, read next bill.
House Bill 57, property tax, tax sales, requirement to sell. Favorable.
The question before the House is the adoption of the favorable report. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The favorable report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or to its title? Hearing none, the bill is ordered printed for third reading. Clerk, read next bill.
House Bill 78, public schools, anaphylactic food allergies guidelines. Favor of the amendments. Amendment number 1.
Recognizing the floor leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Moves much be considered the reading of the amendments.
So ordered.
Amendment number 1 is technical. Amendment number 2 requires the State Department of Education and the Maryland Department of Health to update anaphylaxis guidelines by August 1, encourages county boards of education to update guidelines by the upcoming school year, but no later than the 2024-2025 school year, and alters the Act's effective date. Move the amendments.
Question for the House is the adoption of the amendment. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment has been adopted. The question now is the adoption of the favorable report as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? The favorable report is adopted. Ayes have it. Are there any additional amendments to the bill or to its title? Hearing none, the bill is ordered printed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 83, property tax, tax sales, redemption. Favor of the amendments. Amendment number 1.
Recognizing the floor leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So much be considered the reading of the amendments.
So ordered.
The amendments allow a mortgagee to redeem in the same manner as a property owner. Move the committee amendment.
Question for the House is the adoption of the amendment. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The amendment has been adopted. Question now is the adoption of the favorable report as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The favorable report is adopted. Are there any additional amendments to the bill or to its title? Hearing none, the bill is ordered printed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 130, election law, foreign manufacturer of election systems, notification and termination of contract. Favorable.
Question before the House is the adoption of the favorable report. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The favorable report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill or to its title? Hearing none, the bill is ordered printed for third reading. Clerk will read the next bill. Oh, Scoop, that's it. Letter of reassignment. Clerk will read the letter.
House Bill 829, reassigned to Environment, Transportation, and Economic Matters.
Hearing no objections, the letters have been read and ordered journalized. That ends the work at the desk. Committee announcements. Appropriations.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Appropriations Committee will meet at 1 o'clock in the committee room for bill hearings.
Judiciary.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, the House Judiciary Committee will be meeting at 1 o'clock for bill hearings.
Environment and Transportation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Environment and Transportation Committee will meet at 1 p.m. for a briefing and to continue public bill hearings.
Ways and Means.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Ways and Means Committee will meet at 1 p.m. for bill hearings.
Economic Matters.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The House Economic Matters Committee will meet at 1 p.m. for bill hearings.
Health and Government Operations.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Health and Government Operations Committee will meet at 1 p.m. for hearings. Thank you.
Are there any subcommittee announcements? Just a minute. Lisa. I'm sorry. Natural Resources.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Natural Resources Subcommittee will meet immediately after E&T bill hearings.
Vice Chair of the Committee.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Public Health and Minority Health Disparities Subcommittee will meet at 11 a.m. over Zoom to discuss a bill.
Excuse me. Land Use and Ethics.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Land Use and Ethics Subcommittee will meet at 11 a.m. over Zoom. Thank you.
Local Revenues.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Local Revenue Subcommittee will meet virtually at noon.
Any other? Okay. Any delegation announcements? Prince George's.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Prince George's County Education Subcommittee will meet tomorrow morning for a work session at 9 a.m. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Any other delegation announcements? Okay. Any caucus announcements? Latino Caucus.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Maryland Legislative Latino Caucus will meet tomorrow morning at 8:45 via Zoom. Our guest speaker is the Senate President, and we have bills to review and to vote on. So please be there, 8:45. Thank you.
Any other caucus? Okay. Young lady from Howard County.
Howard County delegation will meet tomorrow at 8:30 on Zoom.
Okay. Personal or guest announcements?
Madam Speaker.
Gentleman from Frederick, go in front of the front.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just want to make an announcement. Permission to use the delegate's name?
Permission granted.
So you may have noticed our good friend from Ocean City is not with us today, and that's because he's celebrating the birth of his granddaughter that came in early this morning. And so we miss him. We're grateful that he gets to spend it with his family and wanted to make that announcement. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Oh, I'm sorry.
You asked for permission.
Yeah, I said the delegate. So Delegate Wayne Hartman, Mr. Ocean City, and his beautiful granddaughter's name, Avery Joan Hartman. Thank you.
Madam Speaker.
Young lady from Carroll.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Permission to use the former delegate's name? Please join me in welcoming our favorite, simple country lawyer, Haven Shoemaker. And he's now our Carroll County State's Attorney.
Madam Speaker.
Yes. Gentleman in the back. Go from Montgomery.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Permission to use the delegate's name?
Permission granted.
Colleagues, I rise today to celebrate another year on this fragile planet for a colleague who works very hard to save it. I'm glad to serve on the same team as her because she's a morning person and I am not. Some of you run with her at 4 a.m. during session in Annapolis. I do not. Colleagues, please join me in welcoming, in wishing Laura Charkoudian a happy birthday.
Gentlelady from Hartford, Frederick. Yes, you.
Sorry, thank
Washington
you,
County.
Yep, thank you, Madam Speaker. Colleagues, please welcome, or join me in welcoming a very special guest from Washington County, Milani, and the friends from Mediation First, and our very own brand new mayor, Takesha Martinez.
Gentleman from Prince George's. And Arundel, excuse me.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to recognize some visitors we have today from Community Mediation Maryland. They're hosting their legislative day, which they do each year. The purpose of the event is to educate legislators and mediation services. Community Mediation Center and staff, volunteers from across Maryland spend the day visiting and educating each of the respective senators and delegates about mediation services. They're in purple today, so colleagues, please give them a round of applause.
Gentlelady from Charles.
Thank you, Speaker. Madam Speaker, colleagues, I rise to inform the body of the passing of former state delegate Samuel Buddy Linton. Buddy was a Charles County delegate who served 3 separate 8-year terms spanning over a period of 45 years. He served from 1958 to 1966, from 1983 to 1990, and from 1995 to 2003. He died at the age of 99 on last Friday, February 11th. Please join us in offering condolences to his family. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Wow. Thank you for sharing.
Madam Speaker.
Gentlelady from Frederick.
I would like to recognize a very creative guest from Frederick, Sarah Hempel Irani. Some of you may have heard of her. She actually is the sculptor for Claire McCardle. So anybody who has, any woman who has pockets, you can thank Claire for that. But if you don't want to go all the way to Frederick to see her sculptor, then you can just go to Louis Goldstein, because she was part of that project, and she sculpted Louis's pants. So, please.
Gentleman from Carroll.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It is my honor to welcome several guests from Carroll County. Up in the gallery behind me, we have several folks from Leadership Carroll's class of 2023, led by the Chamber of Commerce's president, Mike McMullen. They'll be spending the day with us, so if you see them in the hallway, give them a warm welcome. In addition, we also have in attendance from District 5 a student from Carroll's Liberty High School, where she is a part of the championship volleyball team. She's down here today, though, as a high school intern with Carroll County's Board of Elections. Please join me in welcoming Sarah Zenter.
That's it. There's no other. Are you standing for, I guess, the announcement? Western Maryland. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. First, I'd like to say happy Valentine's Day to all of my colleagues. Valentine's Day for myself is especially special, being a Valentine. And I would like to welcome and recognize my specific Valentine and my wife today, Lisa Valentine, who is joining us and seated in the gallery.
Any others? Okay. Quorum call before adjournment.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their presence? Clerk will take the call. There being 132 members present, the House is still in session, recognizing the majority leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that the House stands adjourned, so Wednesday, February 15th at 10 a.m.